So, okay, we're recording.
Alright. What are we gonna,
Alright, so this is the Rock Herpes podcast, episode 1. Um, Sadly, our third host couldn't be with us today, but
dang.
we gotta carry on because I've been bugging Colton's brother about getting him on all day long. So, yeah.
Yeah, you could just at me. I don't respond to any of the other messages in the Discord.
Well, like, it seems like Landon
I
tells
just,
me that you're on, like, the Switch all the time. So I feel like you're not on the computer most of the time. So,
I really haven't been. The Switch and the Xbox have kind of consumed me.
yeah. Um,
It's a fun system. It just really is.
so, like, what all do you play on the Switch?
Uh, um, Dragon Quest Builders,
Mm.
Breath of the Wild. That's really good. Just kind of hit it out of the park with that one, Nintendo. Really, and Mario Odyssey was pretty good.
Yeah. Landon was telling me you guys picked it up, and, like, I instantly could only think of TJ. And because he's the only other person I know who owns a Switch.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I can see, I can see it being a good console. I didn't think it would be when it was coming out, but I mean,
No, but really.
I don't really ever see myself buying one or anything. But I mean, I can respect that people do.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even like I wanted it, but you know, it was bought, and then I'm like, okay, I'll play
uh,
Mario Odyssey. Sure, let's see how this is. Oh, it's actually really good.
it's actually really, yeah. I was looking at it and it just looked like Grand Theft Mario. So I mean, you know.
They do a really good job of not making you really do anything, which is nice. Also, if you're terrible at platformers, you don't even have to worry because you don't really have to be good. You can tell it was made for children because it was pretty easy to run through. But then they've also got like a harder zone once you get past the main game, which is very nice.
Right.
Something for everyone. I think that's really what's helped Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they marketed like the Wii and the Wii U towards kids a lot. I mean, the Wii was more towards like a whole family, um,
Yeah.
which, I mean, the Wii for my family, we would play it like once every maybe 6 months or something. Other than that, it just kind of collected dust.
Yeah, really, gaming is not like.
Like, I think we all knew those people who had like Modern Warfare 2 on the Wii or whatever, but like, those people were, the type of people who are probably in prison now.
Yeah, kudos to Nintendo for trying, though, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job on the Wii as far as their games on the Wii, like Wii Sports and whatever, but I mean, people just don't play that like all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, uh, Wii Sports is kind of, like I said, a once a year thing or something, you know. So,
I used to
um,
really like the sword fighting in that game.
oh yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Like,
that was cool. Even though
you just,
you could,
yeah.
yeah, you could just like flail your arm and it would work, and
It made me
you
feel
felt
like
so
I was
cool.
doing something.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
whenever
a boss enemy proceeds to spasm for, a couple seconds.
I can
Not
o-
anymore.
I can only imagine like a technologically illiterate parent watching their child play this.
Yeah.
Like, by God, what are you doing? Uh,
The Switch, it's really great. Really great. I think we need more games like Breath of the Wild.
I think that Nintendo. I mean, I thought this when I thought that the Switch was going to fail, but I still think that they need to do like just a stay-at-home console with no gimmicks or anything.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
but I don't
that'd be
know.
good for them. I mean, looking back, it's kind of like if they put out a stay-at-home console now, I think people would be discouraged from buying it because there's really nothing special about it other than, the Nintendo games.
Yeah, and you can only play Nintendo games,
Yeah,
which that sucks. That'll kill a console.
yeah. I mean, like,
I think they were a little bit lax with the Switch though. They haven't really, as far as I know, they're letting like third party in on it.
yeah. I mean, with the Wii U, I think they tried to let third party in, just nobody really knew how to develop for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Wii U was kind of. It was pretty fun to play on, but I mean, nobody really knew it existed.
It was kind of like a last gasp for Nintendo. Like we got to try.
Yeah, I mean,
This is it.
I think that they thought the Wii would last longer than it did. So
Yeah, and then they just kind of released like essentially a prototype Switch, and they're like, it's the Wii U.
yeah, let's release this amorphous blob that's somewhere between the Wii and the Switch. That's good. That's always good when you see stuff like that. Like Windows Vista was a lot like that. It's like this terrible child between XP and 7 or 8 for that matter. God, Windows 8 was terrible. Did you ever have that?
No, I got in it during I had Windows 7, and then I went straight from that to 10.
Mm.
Yeah.
My main computer was a laptop for a long time that had Windows 8 on it. Like, it was pre-installed on there. And I used that for a long time. And I got Windows 10, like, at the very end of the free period, which was, like, really stupid of me because I was planning on keeping Windows 8 before that. And then Dalton was like, Windows 8 is terrible. You need to not do that. And so I've upgraded and I haven't regretted it. I think that the school probably should have stuck with Windows 7 though.
I think that Windows 10 screwed up a lot of the existing stuff.
Mm.
It feels like it wasn't really compatible with a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, like I said at the school, those computers were built for Windows XP. And they're trying to put Windows 10 on it, and it's just not really working. I mean, like, you need some VRAM for that, or else you're not gonna get like your Windows 10 experience. So, like, the school's Windows 10 is so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, the computer teacher there, one of them, they opened up their browser. And it's the exact like image of like a grandma who's never used an internet before. All kinds of toolbars and like 6 different browsers all fighting for dominance, all in one browser. I mean, there was stuff that I couldn't even recognize, browsers that shouldn't even ever be a thing. And I'm just like, and you're the computer teacher. Oh boy.
Dude, the computer teacher at the middle school was like really bad at her job. She would just straight up leave the room all the time, and like I think she kind of knew her stuff when it came to computers, more so than that, But I mean, some of the stuff that we did in there was so stupid. Like, my computer, I remember once, we only had that class for like 45 minutes or something, and my computer took like 30 just to boot up one day, and it was like I got nothing done, and I had to make up all of that work just because the computers are retarded.
Yeah, they've been doing these updates, and for like Windows 10, it's a security update, and mine took like a whole day to do.
Yeah, especially on the school's computers, like they're so slow that the updates will take days upon days to do.
Yeah, and the dude who does the IT there told us to update him if we got the chance, if it popped up, update.
Yeah.
and it popped up, and I had to have administrative access to, update it, and so I couldn't. And then he ended up like coming in there and kind of reprimanding us all for not, updating.
Mm. But
And
you didn't have administrator access to do it.
no, we couldn't have done. We couldn't have.
Like, I feel like the IT people are only there during SOL time, because it seems like
A lot of the time, they really aren't there.
yeah, I mean they're really never there. I remember
Only for like big stuff.
I had to swap computers like 4 times during the SOL last year for writing, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like all my stuff was still there, but I mean, just the fact I had to swap computers like 4 times, and the proctor in there had no idea what she was doing. She tried to unplug the computer for like 30 minutes and ended up unplugging the monitor and just left it like that for like a solid hour. Yeah. Yeah. And like the light was clearly still on the computer and there was still air blowing out the front of it, and she was like, okay, the screen's black,
Good enough.
like, what even?
I mean, gosh.
I mean, like, she could have straight up just pressed the power button and it would have done the exact same thing, and it's like, okay, whatever. I remember eating lunch that day and they made us not talk in lunch, and Dakota threw something at me and it was like all over the table, and we're all like trying to conceal laughs, and meanwhile like the vice principal's like making direct eye contact with us and stuff, and that was a time.
No talking during lunch.
Yeah. And we had to sit like 12 seats apart as well. So we couldn't be whispering. Wow. They just didn't want us to tell each other about the test, which we were going to end up doing anyway.
Yeah, as soon as you get out of the test, you talk about the test.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, probably shouldn't talk about it here, but, I mean, in depth, I guess. But,
I find it weird that they don't want you to talk about it after the test is over anyway.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I guess in the event that somebody hasn't taken the test, it's not a good idea. But they even prohibit feature about it.
I mean, and also, the tests are different.
Yeah, they're different. They're all different anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you might get some of the same questions if it's, say, like a multiple choice or something. But, I mean, especially with writing, there were like 50 different prompts we could have gotten.
I remember when I was taking my science as well. And a friend of mine, he was like, I'm going to sit behind you for obvious reasons. And then after the test was done, he was just kind of looking off into the distance, and he was really pale-faced. Sort of like, not there. And I go over to him and I'm like, hey man, what's up? How'd that test go? And he goes, there were different tests. And he's like, I looked around, I looked at your screen, different test. Looked around at the two people next to me, different test. And I'm like, well, what'd you do? And he's like, I don't know. I just kind of hoped. So he's basically just, I don't know how he passed, to be honest.
It's almost harder to fail sometimes on the SOLs, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, he's proof of that. I mean, I don't know how he hasn't failed.
I mean, with our science this year, Earth Science, we had been over 50 out of the 55 questions already. So basically everyone made a good score in there.
I had this kid in my history SOL who he would go and the first question he put A, the second question he put B, C, D, and so on and so forth. And he just went through the entire test like that, turned it in, and he got like a perfect 400 or so. Or well, no, yeah, it's 400, right? Yeah, he got like a perfect 400.
The, I mean, he passed.
Yeah, it makes me angry because I actually like work. And I don't study necessarily, but I really try to remember.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's really studying that much anymore.
I don't know. There are some people. I don't know how studying works, man.
Like, I don't get studying. Like, I'll sit down and try to do it, and I can't.
Personally, I trust myself not to forget it. Basically, I've conditioned myself that I know I'm not gonna study. So it's either you memorize it now or you're screwed.
The last time I studied, um, not to my parents' knowledge, they think the last time I studied was probably like the other day. But I mean, the last time that I actually studied was like my mom reading off spelling words to me when I was in like the first grade.
Same. They
Like,
would make me do that.
but I mean, that wasn't even end of the year first grade. That was like probably 3 or 4 weeks in, and she was just like, "You know all of them every single time. Why does it matter? We shouldn't even have to do this." And it was like, well, then we just stop.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're just at a certain point there was no reason to be doing it anymore, so we just quit. And I mean, I don't really study anymore, and I mean,
High school's a cakewalk, man. I'm nearly done, and it's if it's gonna get hard, it would have already done so by now.
yeah, I mean, you see the seniors, they just kind of walk around the school during class. They don't really even do anything. So,
Yeah.
I mean, next year you're just gonna be like rolling up other people's classes.
Yeah, there's this dude Sam who just keeps walking around the school, and he, I have a teacher's aide
Yeah.
in my second block,
Mm.
and they essentially do a lot of the teaching because they're trying to become a teacher.
Yeah.
Uh, they're like a college student they're sitting in, and one day this guy Sam he just walks in, sits down in some other kid's seat, and just starts like talking about random stuff. And this teacher's aide's like really confused because he's only been with us like a week, and he's like, "What class are you in?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm in so and so's class right now." And he's like, "Shouldn't you be there?" And he's like, "No, no, it's okay." Does he know you're here? No, no, it's okay. And then I don't know how he got started on it, but he started talking about how he doesn't agree with uh, Black History Month, and then he's like, and another thing I don't get is Black Friday. Why do they get to have a whole day and a month? Why can't we have like a White Wednesday and a Chinese Tuesday? And he's like, and so this I really feel bad for the teacher's aide. He's like trying to figure out what's going on with this kid, trying to get him back to his class, but he doesn't have like the full authority just to kick him out.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to explain to him the concept of Black Friday.
Did he actually not understand Black Friday?
No, he thought it was like a race thing.
Oh.
For real, he thought it was like an actual like they got that and the month.
In America, how do you not understand the most capitalist holiday ever?
Yeah, exactly,
Like,
comrade. What?
like,
Yeah, he.
my God.
Ew. And they started talking about. He got like really, really uncomfortably close to being racist, and I would have given anything not to. I mean, to not have been him at that point. You know, like. Not only is the class totally disrupted, I mean, you're not getting us back on track after that.
Yeah.
But now you've got to deal with this.
I mean, I feel like he was basically just saying the N word, but ending it with an A, so it was like, oh, that's fine.
He does that. He
I
does.
think most people at our school do because there are only like 5 black people who go to our school.
Yeah,
So but you do get uncomfortably close to being racist sometimes, no matter who you are.
yeah, yeah. You do.
That happens occasionally, and you keep trying to justify it, and it doesn't help.
Yeah, you have to move on sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes people are a little bit racist.
yeah. I think everybody's a little bit racist, but I don't think that's just because they're white. You know,
Yeah.
all
Speaking
white
of
people are racist,
speaking of racism, you
right?
hear about how Trump is proposing a citizenship question for the 2020 census.
I think I
Yeah,
heard
it's
something about that, but what's that entail?
basically it's just going to be a question regarding your citizenship, whether or not you're a citizen, you're trying to be, or if you're just undocumented at this, and it's racist. You know, we don't have the right to ask whether or not you're a citizen if you're living in the country.
Well, why not?
Yeah, they. I mean, people, states like Virginia,
Hmm.
Maryland, uh, California did it a couple weeks ago, but I don't know how that went. And then recently, a bunch of other states have sort of jumped on the bandwagon, and it's because they're threatened with losing money first off and representation in Congress because of population, right? So
Right.
if this question goes into effect, there's like what 300,000 or so undocumented immigrants in Virginia and Maryland, you know,
Yeah.
each,
Yeah.
and so they stand to lose quite a bit there, right? So
Yeah.
they're jumping on it, but I think that really this question is what we need, you know, because if we revoke funding and we revoke their, representation, then it's going to make states want to actually promote citizenship.
Yeah.
And if they actually promote citizenship, then we'll fix this whole undocumented crisis, right?
That's a good way rather than thinking that you can just go door to door rolling a catapult with you and being like, "Hey, are you undocumented?" Oh,
Yeah,
well, get on. You know.
the government, the government will never be able to do it themselves. It really
Exactly.
has to be the states because the government isn't. If the states conspire against the government,
Mm.
then there's 50 of them and one central government. So really, if they want to, they can get whatever they want by
Yeah.
within reason. But
Yeah.
if California suddenly sees, okay, I'm going to lose this representation unless I make a push for them to become citizens, and then suddenly, they're pushing like heavily
Mm.
because their representation is on the line,
Yeah.
and I think that's really what could solve this kind of like sanctuary city stuff that's going on.
Well, I think that because there are 50 states and one central government, that's the reason why marijuana is going to be legal by the time we're both adults. Or,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Because
by the time I'm an adult, at least you're older than I am, but,
yeah, I mean, really, the the central government doesn't really have too much power when
yeah,
you take into account that there are 50 smaller governments.
yeah. I mean, and a lot of the bigger states are, passing the marijuana laws, like California did this year. So,
Yeah, and it's actually by national law technically illegal, but marijuana is. However, these big states have done it, and the national government just doesn't have the power to fight back, really.
oh yeah, I mean, the the one guy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. That's part of Trump's cabinet thinks that we can. Do you know who I'm talking about off the top of my head?
Mm,
Do you know the guy I'm talking about at least?
yes.
Yeah, like he wanted to do all of that marijuana legislation and basically go in and raid all of the dispensaries and stuff. And it's like, you know,
They could, yeah.
yeah, I mean they could, but what's the point? We have other things that we can be sinking our money into.
Exactly, and I think that really what we need to do is we need to legalize all drugs and then tax them, like alcohol, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe not legalize necessarily, but decriminalize all drugs.
Yeah, yeah, decriminalize, and and maybe if we did that, then people wouldn't have to go to like Mexico to get it, where it's getting, then they're getting murdered.
Yeah. What do you think about the argument against that? I don't really support this argument, but what about the people who are like, well, if all drugs are decriminalized, you'll have parents who smoke meth.
Well, parents smoke meth anyway, I mean, smoking meth, if you're doing that, you've already made a poor decision,
Yeah.
I mean, and people who are going to do that are going to do it regardless of whether or not it's decriminalized.
Yeah.
And I think if you decriminalize it, sure, you're going to have some people who are like, okay, well, there's no repercussion really.
Yeah.
But those people, you know, they're going to make a horrible decision anyway. So it doesn't really
Well,
matter.
yeah, I mean, good people. I mean, like at least smart people. I don't.
Are
really
not
put
going to
people
do
in
it.
Yeah, they understand why you should not do meth.
But I think if you're a person who's going to do meth, you're going to do it regardless of whether or not it's legal or
Like,
illegal.
I don't know that we know people who, don't smoke meth right now who, if it was decriminalized tomorrow, would turn around and do it.
Yeah, like me personally, I'm not going to smoke meth. If
Right.
it's illegal, I'm not going to smoke it. If it's legal, not going to smoke it.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to smoke it, you're going to smoke it. And, that sucks. But really, does criminalizing it change anything? No.
It just creates more crime.
Yeah, it just creates more crime and
Maybe.
fills up the prisons, which, I guess that's good for someone who owns a prison.
Well, okay, so say you decriminalize all these drugs. You have to put a legal age on all of them. What's the legal age on meth?
I don't know, 30. 30 seems like a good age.
30. You've become
Honestly.
fully wise at that point.
Honestly, I feel like when I imagine a meth head, always a 30-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, they look like 50, but they're 30.
But they're 30.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's just on the meth.
Yeah. I mean, I think marijuana would be 21.
Yeah.
I think things like cocaine would probably be like 25. But I mean, like the top of the line, like heroin and meth, would be like 30.
Yeah.
So,
quite. Yeah. No, that stuff's bad, and it will screw you up, and you really need to be. Because I think at 30, either your life's going terrible or you've got something to not do meth for.
Yeah.
By 30, you've probably got like a family or a lucrative career or business.
You either have a family at that point or you will have a family in the next 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't, then you're doing meth.
Yeah. Which, I mean, maybe having a family, so to speak, isn't really for everybody, but I mean, you're maybe...
Yeah, maybe you find fulfillment in something else.
Yeah, maybe you spend your time playing World of Warcraft, but you care about that enough to not do meth.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to do meth because it's going to interfere with my subscription to World of Warcraft.
Exactly.
What is it? It's like $25 for a 2-month subscription.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that'd get you a sizable amount of meth.
That'd probably get you a small amount of meth, but it'd be enough.
Yeah. Meth is messed up, though, for real. Like,
yeah, it is.
That stuff, I don't even know what goes into it, but I just imagine garbage.
Well, okay, so there's like drain cleaner in meth.
Yeah, I mean,
there's like there are some things that are just chemicals, but they're derived from other medicines like cough medicine and stuff like that. Like there's cough medicine and a few other drugs, and then things like drain cleaner and whatever. Like,
Yes, I can't wait to. I guess you smoke meth, right?
yeah, because it becomes a solid somehow or another, and it's like
Yeah, it's a
crystals.
solid, and you put it in a spoon,
And
and then you
yeah,
heat it up, and then you put it into a syringe, and then you. That's why I can't do drugs, really. That and that I don't
they're
have any
just
desire,
too many
but
needles and pipes
too
and
many
things
needles
involved.
involved.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I will never voluntarily stick a needle full of meth into my arm,
like needles don't bother me, but I don't know that I could do it myself. You know, like
I mean, blood doesn't bother me. It's just my own blood, and like a needle going into someone else, I'm okay with that. But
yeah,
like, when it comes to me, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay. I see other people's blood, and I'm like, oh, that's blood. But then when it's my blood, I start thinking, well, that's supposed to be inside of me, and it's not right now, and that's not okay.
um, are you one of those people to pass out?
No. Well, I mean, I've never bled enough to really pass out.
Well,
But I will say
I'm
that I'll
I'm
freak
saying
out if I bleed a little bit.
I'm saying like more of like an anxious type thing. Like Dalton, he's one of those people who sees blood and passes out.
No, I had a friend of mine once. We were I was over at his house, and we were playing on scooters.
Yeah,
Uh, and we were just scootering around. But we didn't wear helmets because we're bad boys, and
yeah,
also because scooters, if you wear a helmet while on a scooter, you're just, I mean, what are you doing with your life? Scooters are not dangerous,
yeah.
or so we thought. And we were doing. He had like a metal garage with these metal bars that held up a metal roof,
Right,
and we were scootering in between those bars and doing like cool tricks.
right.
And he went in like the fastest I've ever seen. Did a bunch of those tricks, and then at the end, his scooter had clipped one of the metal bars, and he went flying into one of the metal bars
Mm.
ahead of him. And then he got up and he turned to me, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "I think so." And then blood just gushing from he had like a huge gash in his head, and it's just like pouring over. And he was in shock, I'm sure, because he didn't even realize. I think he saw the blood, and then he just kind of tried to forget
Mm.
because he didn't even really seem to notice that he was bleeding as badly as he was. And I remember kind of freaking out because he was bleeding, but I didn't pass out,
Yeah.
but it was a lot. I mean, we got him into, and he had like a towel over his head, and then he had to replace it with another towel, and then like a third towel. And
Yeah.
his dog was like white and brown, but he was holding it for like comfort, I guess, and just the dog was coated in blood, and it was pretty gruesome.
Um,
And he just wasn't really there. I guess it was blood loss and like shock.
my cousin once, when she was probably like 6, maybe, we were at my grandmother's house, and she has like an old style fireplace, and it's got like a hearth out in front of it, and it's stone,
Yeah.
and she was like sitting on that and decided to stand up on top of it and jump off, and somehow or another she like fell backwards while jumping, and her head like cracked on the hearth.
Oh,
And I remember they called an ambulance and everything, but I mean she was okay. She had to get stitches or something though.
yeah. It's kind of like a vivid memory because one of the most severe injuries I'd ever seen at that point in real life. Just
Mm,
1 minute.
yeah,
1 minute, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Next minute, yeah, you're obviously not fine.
yeah. I mean that was pretty terrifying to me. I mean, I was pretty young as well, but I mean, let's see.
We had to wear helmets after that. It's kind
She's
of lame.
12 right now. So, yeah, I would have been like probably 9 or 10 at the time. She might have been younger than I'm thinking, but yeah, I don't remember it very well, but I recall it I recall the event of that happening and me thinking that she was gonna die. Like,
I was 12 when it happened, and I kind of rationalized that he probably wasn't gonna die,
yeah.
but it was a lot. It was a lot of blood.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever really been injured, so to
I don't
speak.
think I've ever been injured that badly before.
Like I don't know that I've ever really had anything that you could call an injury. Maybe in like a sports sense, but I've never really done sports. So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've never really like gotten a major injury.
yeah.
Nothing that you have to go anywhere for.
Mm.
I used to have pretty bad allergies, but that was might not have been allergies. I don't know really.
Um I had shingles once. You couldn't really call that an injury though.
What is
So,
shingles?
yeah, okay, so it's normally a thing that you see in older people who have had chicken pox as children. It's similar to chicken pox, and that's essentially what it is. But
Ah, it's like adult shingle pox.
yeah, it's like it's it's a nervous system thing. So it's only on like one half of your body, and I had it on the right side of my face.
Ah,
And you just get bumps that like itch, but they hurt at the same time, and like I remember I would sleep for like 14 hours and wake up for 1 hour and then go back to bed. It
mm,
was it was pretty bad, but like once I got the medicine to where I could stay up longer, uh, I was fine. Basically, I just kind of ignored it and played Wolfenstein.
mm. Kind of reminds me of that time I had that really bad allergic reaction. It was to a wasp sting. And
Yeah.
I remember my face like swelled up because it was right on the back of my head where I got stung.
Mm.
And I actually lost a good friend because of it because he confessed to me later on that he couldn't look at me anymore. He was like, dude, after that day, because it was like during my birthday, and he's like, after your birthday, man, I don't know, I can't. He's like, I just keep seeing your face all swelled up like it is in your ears, and straight up, he was kind of mean to me. It sucked. It wasn't my fault that I got stung on the back of the head.
I don't want to be laughing, but it's funny.
It's kind of funny in retrospect. I remember it hurt me though as a little kid.
Oh, so this has been a long time ago now.
Oh yeah, it was forever ago. I was like 7-ish, and we were running around throwing crab apples at each other. And the crabapple tree it had a bunch of wasps or yellow jackets or something. Probably was yellow jackets because they had a little like underground hive.
Yeah.
And I guess one of us had disturbed them while we were resupplying at the crabapple tree.
Hmm.
And those crab apples hurt. And, you know, I got like a sharp pain in the back of my head. And I thought somebody had just thrown a crab apple at me really hard.
Yeah.
And so I ignored it for so long. And then eventually my mom comes out and sees me and just kind of freaks out. And then I just remember going to sleep after that and then waking up every so often. And then I talked with my friend after that. And then he moved away, but I didn't really talk to him after that because he couldn't look at my face anymore. I guess it really traumatized him. That must have been like the most severe thing he'd seen up until that point.
I feel like it wasn't even really that bad, and and he was just like, I can't handle it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it was that bad. My ears just kind of swelled up. My ears, I think, were the main thing. They just really swelled, and they hurt. And then, I guess, I don't know, my face was distorted.
Yeah.
I imagine some weird stuff when I imagine what I must have looked like.
I recall when I had shingles, my eye swelled shut, a few mornings. And it wasn't really bad. It was like, when you imagine an eye swelling shut, you imagine like a bunch of like pus and weird stuff, but really what it was is that my eyebrow had swelled up really bad, and so it like forced my lid down. So like it was sort of strange, but I just couldn't open my eye. When I finally did, it didn't really hurt or anything. Just it was sort of weird that I couldn't open it. Just imagine closing your eye and just not being able to open it back up is basically what it was. The first day it happened, I was kind of expecting it to, and I walked in and I was like dead, and I kind of expected him to turn around and instantly know what had happened, but he was like, "What?" I was just like, "My eyes. I can't open my eye." I'm not winking at you.
I've pretty much had it all right, I'd say, in the disease and injuries kind of thing. Always wanted to break a leg or something, like a bone, just to see. But then at the same time, I'm sure it would hurt a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Which, I mean, Xander has many times, and he doesn't really seem to be bothered by it very much.
Yeah.
And he's
I just
like,
hope that if I break something, it's like really minor.
yeah.
Even if it is my arm, I don't want it to be like a horrible, your arm is a twisted mess, like you can tell it's broken kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that one guy who he was playing football, and he goes to our high school, and I remember watching the video, and his arm, it looked like a Z. The way that it had broken, and just like, it was so weird because it was almost as if there wasn't bone anymore, and it was just like Play-Doh. And in
That's horrible, but I'm laughing.
In my biology class, we watched a video about this guy who broke his arm, and it was apparently a pretty bad break, and then never went to the doctor because he lives in a country where you can't do that. And it healed, but like when it healed, basically it was like he had two elbows. He could bend his regular elbow, and then there was like a second one in his arm. So,
dude, so good things.
I guess he had a superpower at that point.
Extra mobility. Never go to the doctor, you get superpowers.
Yeah, he's just like, they were interviewing him, and they're like, "So you just broke it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I was out and I broke it, and I couldn't go to the doctor because there is no doctor nearby, so I just continued working." And it's like, what? Jeez, wow. Like, I don't even think he even tried to splint it or anything, or do any kind of like straightening of the bone.
Yeah.
Which is why it healed like an extra elbow.
When I was very young, I used to think, I guess I used to think that things abided more closely by laws than they actually do. Like, I thought that, like, if you broke something or something like that, you were, like, required to go to the doctor and do exactly as they say.
Yeah.
Like, I just had a very narrow view of the world when I was a child. I kind of thought everything functioned, as it did in, like, first grade.
Yeah, I had a very narrow view as well. For real, for the first couple of years, I didn't even think anything existed outside of Wise. Like, straight up. I didn't think anything existed outside the town. And then once I got older and we left and we went other places, I was like, okay, I had to like reconcile this with my current logic, and I was just like, okay, so there's more stuff out there, but that's it. You go a couple miles this way, a couple miles that way, and that's the whole world. And then I got to school, and I'm like, okay, there's this thing, the United States, and then there's a state, and inside that's where I live, but that's it. But oh boy, there's more. There's Europe. And I kind of literally didn't even think that there was anything other than what I was told actually existed. I didn't know when, but eventually I just accepted that there was a whole bunch of other stuff out there.
You thought the world was like 2 miles across?
I really did at that point.
Dude,
And from
imagine
my perspective,
uh,
you could probably have believed it.
imagine if someone had told you then that because the world is round, you could walk in one direction and end up in the same place. Dude, you would have done it.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
would have done it because the world was only 2 miles.
it's like
So I walk 2 miles that way, I'll get right back.
dude.
You hear about that flat Earth guy? Speaking of like the round Earth, you hear about that flat Earth guy who actually launched himself in a rocket?
Yeah, I did, and he like fell and injured himself, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to be carried away in a stretcher, ambulanced out.
Well, he went decently high. He didn't. He was nowhere near going into space, but I mean, like, he went pretty high.
I'd heard that his name's like Mad Mike,
Yeah,
and I'd heard that he was actually going to postpone the launch, or he was not doing it. And I was like, oh, okay, so he's obviously acknowledging that, you know, not flat.
yeah.
And then the madman does it. I mean, he actually does it.
I mean, you know, he's probably gonna try to do it again after he gets, healed.
He didn't, but he said he doesn't believe in science because it's based on the round Earth. That he does believe in formulas, and so that's basically what his rocket was based upon.
That's
Formulas.
that's like the apologists when you debate with them, and they're like, "I don't believe in species. I believe in kinds."
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. It's just a different. It's just a narrower view of it.
If they say, well, we believe in kinds, then they can basically say, well, here's what kinds actually means. And it's really annoying to have to argue. I mean, really, these days, you have to kind of get the terms on the table. Like, what does this mean? What does that mean?
Yeah. Um, I mean, people see things as different things. People have different ways of speaking. A lot of people don't know what, to me, are very basic terms. A girl in my class turned to me the other day and asked me, "What is a political adversary?" And I said back to her, "Someone who is adverse to someone else politically." And she just gave me this blank stare, and I was like, Donald
Yeah.
Trump and Hillary Clinton are political adversaries. And she was just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I mean, you really do get to realize that you live in a rural area
Yeah.
talking with some people because they really don't know too much.
Like, I feel like I know words that a lot of other people don't know in this area a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Like, I don't know that she would have known the word adversary, you know? It's like
Yeah.
that's something I feel like I've known the meaning of since I was like 5.
Yeah, adverse, adversary,
Yeah.
you just, those are things that you know.
Yeah.
And it's
Like,
kind of weird that some people just don't.
yeah, that to me that's like not knowing the word and, you know?
Yeah. Just kind of comes as a given, but
Yeah, but I mean, I guess.
that Mad Mike guy, he didn't believe in science because it was based on the round Earth. But he did believe in formulas because those aren't based on the round Earth.
Well, I can see not believing in space science because of the round Earth, and certain other sciences because of the round Earth, but like, well, why, like say evolution? Why is that round Earth
I don't know. It's
chill?
based on the round Earth, man. I don't know. Fake. It's fake, man.
I mean, I guess so.
The it's weird that we've reached an age where people can look at the evidence and come to the conclusion that yeah, it's flat.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up. But back then, in ancient Rome, some dude who's just sitting there staring at the sky, probably thinking about things, realizes if I put two sticks in the ground at different locations,
Mm.
I can tell how round the Earth is. And then you get to like World War II, and a German, someone who's operating like a artillery, they
Mm.
have to account for the curvature of the Earth
Yeah.
because that's the only way it'll fire and hit correctly. And then you get here and it's just like, yeah, it's flat.
Like, I,
It's science. I don't care.
I sort of wish
Formulas.
I sort of wish there was some not costly way to prove that the Earth was round in a very like you just know type of way. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like, yeah.
you say people say that you should just fly them up in a rocket, let them see. But I mean that's like people would pretend to not believe in the round Earth just to do that though.
Also, a lot of the people, the flat earthers, kind of have this mentality Earth is out to get them. And, like, people have actually offered, I'll take you sailing in a boat. Or I'll take you up in an airplane and I'll show you.
Mm.
And no, there's no way you'd make me, you'd threaten me or something while I'm up there. You'd force me to accept the round Earth.
Armored Skeptic has a shirt that says "Round Earth Shill." I'm thinking about getting one.
I'm gonna get a, like, I'm gonna get a round Earth shirt, but just like totally crazy, like a flat Earth shirt that's like insane.
Yeah.
Something that's like the round Earth is a ploy to sell maps. Keep your eyes open, fellow truthers.
What about that one thing that we talked about last time that was like, oh, I believe in the flat Earth, and I believe that we're being accelerated upwards, at a great speed, so we're being held to the ground. But I believe in the round Jupiter and the round Mars and Mercury.
Yeah,
And Venus. It's like
that guy on the forum that I was talking to, the flat Earth forum.
yeah.
I got kind of interested in this, and I went pretty deep, and I was talking with a guy there, and he was like, "Yeah, the Earth is flat. The Earth is flat, but the moon and everything else isn't." And I was like, "Well, why not?" And he all he would tell me is that, well, that's because Jupiter's a planet, but Earth is not. But he would never explain what Earth was then. It goes to that, like, what is Earth if not a planet?
I mean, okay.
So it's like a coy way to not deny that planets exist, but then like you have to assume so much more if you're just like, yeah, the Earth's not a planet, but why?
Yeah,
because it isn't.
I mean, I think that if you were saying that these other planets were flat, you would have issues as well because you can see them.
Well, maybe they're flat and they're facing us. They're like a plate that's facing us.
Yeah.
But then why are we flat in such a way as to, I mean, you run into problems no matter what logic you're running with.
I mean, like, and also if they're round but being, shot upwards at great speed,
They'd be deformed.
Yeah, they wouldn't be round then.
Also, like a gas giant, they're made out of gas, right? And if it's being pushed upwards and it's in a ball form, you would think that the gas would get spread out evenly along the floor.
And it would become flat.
Yeah, and it would become flat at that point.
Yeah.
And, like, does everything move up at the same speed, really?
Yeah, like, and also you have to believe, you have to ask the question, like, okay, so if these are all planets, and whatever, you can really only see over to like Saturn with a telescope, with like an ordinary telescope, right?
Yeah.
Do they believe in like Neptune and Uranus and Pluto and those things?
Yeah, exactly. Because if you can't see it, I mean, really, does it
I mean, I'd say
The whole thing is if it can't be proved, you can't see it, then it's not real, right? You
I,
can't see the flat Earth.
I think Uranus and Neptune you might be able to see very slightly, but they would appear like stars.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what? I don't understand why they believe what they do about space. Like, there's so many things about space that you just have to cut corners and be like, oh yeah, that doesn't. No, that's not right. To
See, the way that gravity works, like you said, is it's just the flat Earth is constantly going upwards
yeah,
at so fast a rate as to simulate what they call round Earth gravity.
mm,
And so essentially, what you have with gravity is that the object will go up and then it will come to meet the Earth, right?
yeah,
But then with flat Earths, you have basically the object goes up and then the Earth comes to meet it.
yeah,
And it's like, they're accomplishing the same goal. What does it matter?
yeah. Well, because with gravity, the Earth would be round.
Exactly. And you know, it's a good thing that they don't believe in space, or most of the time, they
Space
don't
in the
believe that we.
traditional sense, at least.
Yeah, it's a good thing they don't believe in space, because in their model, it would be probably ridiculously hard to get off of the Earth.
Yeah,
Because if the Earth is moving at such and such speed
yeah.
upwards, and then we're trying to go upwards to get out of it,
Mm.
we'd have to be going faster than that. And I believe I could look it up, but it's a lot. Flat Earth gravity. Frequently asked questions on the Flat Earth Wiki. The first one is this site a joke? Okay. So, yeah, they don't believe in that we've ever been to space. Which I guess that's good, because space travel seems impossible.
Yeah. I mean, the that is something that people believe even if they don't believe in the flat Earth sometimes, though. So that's not completely insane. That's not cutting too many corners.
Okay, so another thing you have to assume in the Flat Earth model, popular one from the Flat Earth Society, they seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So the Earth is a flat disk.
Right.
The sun exists. But this model I'm looking at on the wiki,
Right.
It appears that the sun just stops emitting light at a certain distance. Like, it just cuts off randomly.
And that's all that exists.
That's how they explain the day and night cycle. Because if the Earth was flat, then realistically it would always be day, or always be night.
Yeah.
It would be a global kind of thing. But the way they explain it is that I guess the sun just doesn't. It's confined to a limited area for some reason.
I mean,
does the Earth revolve? Does it move, like spin, in the flat Earth model, though?
I don't know. Like, how does the sun work in the flat Earth model? Are we orbiting it? Is it orbiting us, or like what's happening there?
Okay, so 9.8 meters per second squared. So, honestly, I don't even think it would be that hard to go to space in a flat Earth model, actually.
Like, I almost feel like it would be easier because there's like very little atmosphere or atmoplane, and that I don't. It hurts my brain to try to think the way that these people do.
I like to think that I like the idea that the Earth is hollow more, because I mean, honestly, you don't really have to make up too much bullcrap to support that.
Yeah, and gravity
Because there's
still kind of exists.
gravity still applies. I mean,
Yeah,
because there's already caves. You're just saying there's bigger caves.
yeah. Um, in Colton and I's last conversation, which should have been a podcast, we talked
Those
about
creepy ground voices.
we talked about the flat Earth and the hollow Earth, and we talked about the hollow Earth for a while, and he explained to me that they kind of think of it as a Russian doll, and others think that there's one Earth, and then there's another one inside of it, and then others just believe that the Earth is hollow for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
in the model that there are just infinite Earths inside of other Earths, there, Colton was reading one thing that said that people claim to have heard voices from under the earth, and he got so freaked out. Like,
Yeah,
oh my
basically some people believe that an ancient and advanced civilization retreated into the inner earth, and then they dug out hexagonal tunnels in our earth, and
At
that
the
they live
poles,
under
right?
there and stuff like that, so that they could get from our earth to the inner earth. And the inner earth is in time, and the earth presumably within that one is also set back in time,
Hmm.
just ever so slightly, which I guess kind of makes sense if the outside formed first.
Um, yeah, but
And yeah, the voices thing, oh man. It's just that, like, if there were voices in the earth, they're close enough if you can hear them that they could get you,
yeah,
right? It's like hearing a serial killer on on the other side of like a wall. That means that the serial killer is within reaching, like within grabbing distance of you.
yeah.
So the ground voices, if I were to hear them now, they would be able to just grab me.
Well, and I was telling Colton like, dude, you need to get like a loft bed or something.
Personally, yeah.
And then he was like, but then if I heard a voice, they would be like right under me.
Yeah, if I had a loft bed and I heard the voice, that means that they're not even in the ground and that they're literally just reaching around and grabbing me distance. I think it's safer that if they're underneath me,
Yeah.
because then they at least got to get through the ground. But I
Uh,
guess they don't really have a problem with that.
Colton told me about this reoccurring dream that he used to have when he was little as well in this discussion, which doesn't really pertain to flat or hollow Earth. But Colton, do you want to tell the story?
Which one is it?
The Doug Dimmadome one.
Oh, that creepy top hat guy.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't know what it was, but I was a very, very paranoid kid, and I used to have like recurring entities that just sort of plagued me. Yeah, I guess I just invented them, but one of them was a polar bear that had a sniper rifle, and and you think I'm lying, but no, you can ask Landon. I straight up, I wouldn't sleep next to the window. Like, I would stay away from the windows because I was convinced that there was a polar bear with a sniper rifle outside on the pine tree.
This is you didn't tell me about this one.
I didn't tell you about this one, but then there was that one was creepy but also kind of nonsensical.
Yeah.
But then this one was just straight up like terrifying. Because see, the way that my house is, my room is essentially there's a hill, and then the house is built over the hill. So essentially, I'm on a two-story. I'm on the second story.
Like,
you could say. However, I'm only on the first floor.
Imagine a 2-floor house, but there's no like underfloor. It's basically just a crawl space under it.
Yeah. So essentially, if anything wanted to look in my window, it would either have to be in a tree, like the polar bear, or it would have to be incredibly long, like incredibly tall. And there used to be, it was just a black shape that it had no distinguishing characteristics, except it had a Doug Dimmadome top hat. And when I say that, I mean that It was an infinite top hat that always filled up your entire field of view. And I don't mean it went through ceilings or anything, but that it kept going. Like if it was a flat image and it was just put in a 3D space. So I used to have nightmares where whenever it was there, you didn't see where its feet ended. Its feet always went out of frame. And the hat always went out of frame. Never went through anything. There's never any sign. And it would always come up to my window and just, it didn't even need to open it. That was another thing. It was telepathic. Very creepy. And, the polar bear was okay because it just stayed outside. And, I mean, I guess I thought it might try and snipe me.
I just imagine you, like, when you would have to go to school, just, like, running to the bus. Because it's like there's a polar bear with a sniper rifle out there.
Yeah, I mean, that polar bear really scared me. And then the top hat guy really scared me. And then, years later, I made up a little, a demon kind of thing. And I was like, it'd be pretty terrifying. Something that didn't ever interact with you, but always stayed like a couple feet away and just watched you while you slept. And then I guess I kind of, I was like, man, that could exist, and I could just not know. And that kind of freaked me out. And then it reminded me of the polar bear and Doug Dimmadome.
We deemed this being the top hat guy, Doug Dimmadome, last time because he said, the top hat always went out of view, and I was like Doug Dimmadome.
Yeah, really.
Owner of Dimsdale Dimmadome. And I just imagined
creepy.
I just
like
imagined
Slenderman.
I just imagined like before he's at the window, before you can see him, you just kind of in the distance here. I'm Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, and it like gradually gets closer.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad my bed's not in front of the window anymore.
Like.
And I have drapes. I have blinds now instead of just having an open window to stare at all night.
For me, curtains are just always closed. I don't even care.
Yeah, my curtains are always closed now. But
as an
I didn't
adult,
have curtains.
As an adult, I'm gonna be the type of person whose house looks like a meth head's house because I'm gonna have like cardboard taped over the windows.
Yeah, honestly, that's not a bad idea because that polar bear, I never actually, in the dreams, it was always just there, like a threat that was always there. It never got me, but in the dream, you got the sense that if it wanted to, it could have ended you.
Well, the fact that it's a polar bear is the great thing about that. Like, if it was just a dude, that's kind of understandable. But, like, it's a polar bear.
Well, I mean, what's scary, right? A polar bear. It blends in with the environment. It's big.
But
it's
not
a bear.
The environment of Southwest Virginia.
No, but it's like it's big. It's deadly. It's a bear. What's scarier than a bear? A bear with a sniper rifle. That's your answer.
Was this like a realistic type polar bear, or was it like a cartoon polar bear?
In like my my fever dream like memories from that time.
Yeah.
It was very realistic. From like who's only seen a polar bear in like a children's book.
I imagine like a Skyrim polar bear.
Yeah, I kind of imagine like a Coca-Cola polar bear.
Oh, like the bad CGI polar bear?
Yeah, he's badly CGI'd into the world, and he's ready to spread the Coke. Coke being what he named his rifle.
I imagine the sniper rifle not even really being in his hand. It just rests slightly above it because he's so poorly CGI'd.
Yeah, just... But yeah, no, I used to actually really be afraid of that.
Like, Colton, you just sit and think of scary things, and then you're like, what if that exists?
Yeah, because, like, there's every reason to believe that maybe that's real.
Maybe there is a polar bear with a sniper rifle.
Yeah, and he just never shot me because I knew he was there, so I just avoided him.
You're the only one who did know he was there.
maybe he could have got me, you know? But he didn't because I knew he was there and I avoided it. And maybe he wasn't, but all it's gonna take is one sniper rifle bullet and I'm dead. You know?
Well, but like, imagine if okay, so think for a second. This polar bear is real, right? You
Yes.
actually died from this, right? The polar bear shot you. Imagine the news about this. Breaking news. If you have trees outside your house, there is a polar bear with a sniper rifle outside on this tree.
Yeah, I mean, there really is. I mean, just all it's gonna take is one guy to get shot by the polar bear, you know? And I can
Yeah.
blow this whole case wide open, finally. I can put this to rest.
I almost sort of want someone to get shot by a polar bear with a sniper rifle now, just so Colton can like break the case.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was real. You
I
did
knew
me for being afraid of the polar bear with the sniper rifle.
it.
But I was right. But then if the polar bear is real, Top Hat guy, equally real. Doug Dimmadome,
Yeah,
probably outside right now.
that's true, and you'd be trying to prove to everybody that Doug Dimmadome was real as well.
Yeah, you guys didn't believe me then, and now people are dying to the polar bear.
Now I have another thing that we could be worrying about more. This giant
Yeah,
person who is very similar to Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome.
I quite imagine that looking upon this entity distorts your field of vision, like a eldritch nightmare, Lovecraftian in nature. Also, the polar bear. That's Lovecraft. It's not actually a polar bear with a sniper rifle. It's just maybe it's like a weird alien that
Maybe
sort of
it's like
looks like a
a
polar bear.
maybe it's like a Hermes mora. It's just like a mass of tentacles, and you don't even know.
Yeah, I really liked Hermaeus Mora in Skyrim. I like the concept.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, he's Lovecraftian in nature, and I adore the dude, Lovecraft.
Have you read his books?
Yes, I've read a couple of his short stories, and I really like it. I do, and just any story with like an eldritch being, and it's bigger than us. Humanity is small in comparison. It's just so great,
Um, y- y-
and go ahead.
yeah. Oh well, I was just gonna say I hadn't read any of his books. That was all.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, like he in his stories, one big theme is that humanity is kind of just insignificant. And I actually read into his life, and there's a reason. It's because I mean he had a crappy life, just terrible, and I guess it just broke him. Because at a certain point, he just realized that there was nothing and that it didn't matter. And he made some really good books. And then he mysteriously dies really early on in his life.
Was there like a cause?
He had some sort of undiagnosed medical problem, as well as like a myriad of psychological issues.
I bet the polar bear with the sniper rifle got him in him like starting to write about it.
Was what caused it.
Yeah, like he started writing
He
about it.
nearly broke the story.
Yeah, but then he couldn't. It's like a government cover up. That's their best agent.
Yeah, they can't let it know because once you know about the polar bear, it'll get you.
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna have a fear of a polar bear with a sniper rifle after this.
Ah, well, I don't sleep in front of a window anymore, so I'm okay.
I mean, I sleep near windows. I don't sleep in front of them. You know, I'm not in a direct shot.
Yeah, I was.
I'm in like
I,
a kind of like the way that the government explains the JFK assassination with the magic bullet field
yeah,
of view.
I'm currently. I mean, back then I used to sleep sitting up, so that not a single part of my body was in front of the window. Straight up, I did.
Just because the polar bear and Doug
The
Dum
polar
Dum.
top hat, and just like a myriad of other things that could have been out there.
I wonder what like other things that you just don't recall that you thought of back then.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had kind of like an imagination, and it gets away from me sometimes, and it sucks because I stay up a lot. Like I'm awake nearly all the time, and sometimes you just like a couple of nights ago, I don't know, it was just kind of I was underneath the covers, just sort of reading some stuff late at night,
Mm.
and then I got it into my head that expose myself to the outside air, I would instantly die. And I don't even know where that came from. But it was just like this intense feeling that kind of grips you.
Mm.
I'm just like, man, I'll die if I come out from underneath these covers.
I mean, like, I always have fears that like people are around me that I'm not aware of, and like stalkers and things like that.
Yeah,
But I mean that's my primary thing. Like when trying to sleep and whatever.
yeah. I think I prefer to stay up at night rather than sleep at night because it's safer to sleep in the day. That sounds like a crazy conspiracy thing, but really, I feel like it is.
Well, it's that's probably statistically true.
I feel more alert at night, really,
Yeah, like I think
Like if I were to be attacked at night, I think I would totally be okay.
I think we're both kind of night people, you know.
Yeah,
Like if
the
I
day doesn't really start until it ends.
like if I didn't have to sleep, oh my god, I would be like I would have so much stuff done. Like
Yeah, man. Right before I go to sleep, I use that as my time to do everything that I haven't been doing.
like I say that I would get so much done, but what I mean by that is like scroll through 4chan,
Yeah,
like, but as I've started to get into 4chan, I've just realized that people just post porn on there like all the time.
that's all the B board is.
Yeah.
I browse X because I'm a spooky boy.
See, I'm not really, so I'm not browsing X. Do you know if you could find that picture of the iceberg again? I mean,
The
I mean not like right at this moment, but like maybe we could use
oh
it
yeah, I
at
could
some point.
totally find that, and then we could just go down the iceberg.
Yeah, and we could like Google some of that stuff. That'd be a great idea.
I don't know about Googling it, man. It really seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, there's some
Some
of
of
that
this
stuff
stuff actually
that.
seems kind of deep.
What if like on there, like at the very bottom of the iceberg, there was like polar bear with a sniper rifle outside the house of every single person?
Yeah, I mean, I would believe it straight up.
Dude, like if you saw it on 4chan X, like it's
That's
yeah.
yeah. So
4 4chan X is like r slash no sleep, but like the what do you call it? The the Weenie Hut Juniors and the what was the other one?
salty spittoons,
Yeah,
salty spittoon.
that really is just 4chan to Reddit.
Yeah. Um. So I recently actually got like a little bit of a rundown on what's going on regarding the whole iceberg thing. Because
Right.
one of the things you see a lot is that New York is actually RuneScape.
Just the game RuneScape.
Yes, New York is actually just RuneScape. And like that's an actual conspiracy some people have. They think that that's what New York is. And I read a very enlightening post, and it was basically explaining why New York actually is RuneScape. So basically, I don't know if you've ever played RuneScape.
I haven't. No.
Well, oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm looking through some stuff on X and just kind of
RuneScape's
a little bit cryptic. So
RuneScape's just barely before my time. Like I was a child when people used to play it and stuff. You know, people played that in their teen years, and I was probably around 6 when that was, at its height.
my brother got me into it because he would make me do the stuff that he didn't want, like repetitive stuff.
Yeah.
So he would just he would be like, "Hey, come here. I want you to sit here," and he'd explain whatever he was doing, and he's like, "I just want you to do that for a while." And so I would just do that, and so I kind of absorbed a little bit of the game. But basically, RuneScape is on like there's different kingdoms on different islands, right, with
Mm.
different ethnicities,
Mm.
and so that's basically what New York is, if you think about it. Different ethnic islands, right?
All right.
And they're sort of their own little kingdoms. You got Bronx and all that,
Mm.
and then there's a complex system of buying stocks because in RuneScape there are actually just stocks,
Right.
right? And so it's just like this is what it's like in New York. This is what it's like in RuneScape. And when you kind of think about it like that, yeah, New York is RuneScape. I
I
mean,
mean, I was taking that more literally at the beginning. Like, it actually is the game RuneScape. Like, if you go there, you're getting, like, less than PS1 level graphics and stuff.
no. It's a lot less climactic, you could say, in that it's just that I mean I don't know what the implication is. The implication could be that maybe I don't know, RuneScape is inspired by New York, or New York is inspired.
I hope it's that New York is inspired by RuneScape.
Yeah, and I guess maybe that means that RuneScape has existed since before New York.
Yeah. I hope that there are people who think that.
Yes. So have you heard about the in regards to weird conspiracy theories?
Uh,
The um Scientology, they've been doing a lot of advertising lately, and
yeah, I
just
think I've
like
seen that a little bit.
they sound like a cult.
I mean,
Like
they basically are.
they are a cult.
The fact that they're recognized by the U.S. government is the only thing that keeps them from being considered a cult.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, honestly, they seem to like they're like, here's how we preserve our knowledge for the future, and just the stuff they say, it's insane. It's insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, even more so than like most other religions, where those are kind of insane, but like this, it's just
Yeah.
I kind of like to meet somebody who believes that though, because I've always had like a fascination with totally off base things, like something so far from the normal that you know you're just totally removed,
Yeah.
and people like that are just kind of fascinating in a way. I guess it's just like a different perspective on reality, which is kind of neat.
Well, and you try to put yourself in their shoes, and you just can't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the interesting thing, is that they're just so far removed from how you think about it. That's just so hard.
Like, I can put myself in a Republican's shoes, but I cannot put myself in, like, Marshall Applewhite's shoes.
Yeah,
You know?
I can see why somebody be a Muslim.
Yeah.
Totally get that. I can see why somebody be Jewish or Christian or Catholic, any denomination they're in. But then, like, Scientology, that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. And to a lesser extent, like, I guess Mormonism doesn't really make sense.
Well, they advertise for that a lot as well.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like really, really weird.
Only cults have to advertise their religion.
Yeah, you don't ever really see like the Catholic Church advertising how they store their documents. Of course, they're really hush hush about it. I bet that's where they keep the records on the polar bears in the Vatican.
There was this South Park episode. Do you watch South Park?
I watch a little bit here and there.
There was one. It was an Easter episode. It wasn't like for this most recent Easter. It's been a while ago now, but that the reason that Easter became so far removed from Jesus dying on the cross, and becoming a bunny hiding eggs around people's yards, uh, the reason that it became that was because Saint Peter was a rabbit, and they've been guarding him. There's like been this group that's been guarding him for this whole time, that's been conserving the secret of Easter, and the Catholic Church doesn't want it to get out that Saint Peter was actually a rabbit or something.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the one where it's revealed that the Catholic Church is actually run by a bunch of spiders.
No, no. No, this was actually like one of my favorite episodes of South Park. Not a lot of people talk about it.
Mm.
So, speaking of shows, what do you think of Rick and Morty?
It's alright. It's kind of. What the heck? It's kind of. The fan base is cringy, but that's in everything.
Yeah.
And I like it. I really do. I say it's a good show, and it kind of sucks that the fan base is so cancerous.
Well, if it wasn't, I would say that Rick and Morty was like one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, but it's almost like you don't even want to talk about being a fan because of the implication.
Yeah. I have a Rick and Morty shirt that I'm actually wearing right now that I only wear to school in order to be like no, just so I can be like, Rick and Morty is actually a very intelligent show. I am more intellectual than you because I watch Rick and Morty,
Yeah.
And some people don't realize that that's a meme.
I've become sort of disenfranchised with the third season. And a lot of people say that it felt weird, and I think I finally nailed why it felt weird to me.
Why is that?
And it's because the third season, there's this big focus about the world being terrible, the universe is horrible, it's a horrible place, and you just have to get on with life. And, you just have to find something to do.
Right.
And I think where Rick and Morty sort of fails in the third season is that they're constantly talking about how terrible life is and how we shouldn't think about it and how we should just distract ourselves. But they won't. They don't distract themselves,
Yeah.
Like, Rick and Morty should be the distraction from the soul-crushing reality. But they're not. And that seems to be the message they're trying to preach, is that reality is soul-crushing, and we just need to escape sometimes.
Well, do you think that they get too serious in the third season? Like, do you think they have too many of the serious episodes?
Yeah, I really do. I think that they need to stop focusing on how horrible the life is, and it's a show. Just have some fun.
I watched a few of the random, not really up to something that was canon episodes, like Lawnmower Dogs and Pickle Rick today, and those are actually among my favorites. I don't really like the canon episodes quite as much that are like universe changing.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the Citadel and the fact that there are like thousands of Ricks and thousands of Mortys that like congregate and whatever. I really like that idea. Like
that could be a thing.
Yeah.
And it's also nice that they don't really try and have it make sense. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, and when things do make sense, it's just beyond comprehension because you hear Rick ranting about it and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I do like how Morty got some good growth in the third season.
yeah, yeah.
I will say.
Like in, well, I don't know if this was necessarily a Morty thing, but this was kind of a Rick and Morty thing, like in Vindicators 3, when he's talking about how Rick gets drunk all the time and does things like make these super powerful bombs and set them up in
Yeah,
places that they don't really. Yeah.
And Morty's kind of like, yeah, I've done this so many times.
Yeah.
I'm not even phased by it.
Yeah.
A neutrino bomb, please. This is like the fourth time you've done it this week, Rick.
Yeah.
And it's nice, it's nice to see some actual character development from somebody on the show. Because Rick's not going to develop really. And, Summer, I guess they tried to do something with her, but then they sort of like relegated her to the background.
Yeah. I don't like that the fans of Rick and Morty will put themselves into these groups like, oh, I'm a Rick and you're a Morty and he's a Jerry and whatever.
Yeah.
I find
so lame and cringy.
I find aspects of myself in all characters in Rick and Morty though. You can kind of see pieces of yourself in everyone, in my opinion.
I don't know. I definitely have the hair of a Morty. I think if I ever went for a cosplay, it'd have to be a Morty.
Yeah, yeah. I think.
Which really, I believe that Morty is Rick. That's my theory.
A
Morty
lot of people
Rick.
think that. I think my favorite character in that show is one that doesn't appear very much, but will, pretty often, Bird Person.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do with him. He didn't even show up in any of the third season.
Yeah, he did actually.
Really,
in that end credit scene.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta wonder what they're gonna do with that.
There really was no development on that plot. They focused a lot on the divorce thing. Really.
Yeah. I liked the one episode where he took Jerry on an adventure, though.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Because it was also a good character growth for Jerry.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all, been at the point where Jerry is, constantly where you just feel dumber than everybody around you,
I think it's better to be a Jerry, really, in the long run.
Well, I mean, in the Rick and Morty universe, no. But in real life, if you're a Jerry, everybody likes you.
I think it's better to be a Jerry because, really, Rick, he's an amoral cynic who's really depressed. And it's because of how much he knows. But Jerry seems fine.
Yeah.
Seems like he's okay.
Jerry is like blissfully ignorant.
He's blissfully ignorant to how terrible he is.
Yeah.
And terrible he is, he just accepts that.
Yeah. Now, what do you define a Morty as?
Morty's like really naive, you could say.
Yeah.
Morty's like the perfect he's like the perfect audience character, to be the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, he has the reaction of, what you would in a lot of situations.
Yeah, he's very grounded.
I like the commercials that they did with like Carl's Jr. and Hardee's
Carl's
and
Jr.
Old Spice.
and Hardee's, yeah.
Yeah.
Where the mascots just kind of come in.
Rick, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why are you selling us out?
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the extra stuff they do outside of like the actual show. Those are nice.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been on for an hour 35 almost now.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, my eyes are hurting.
Are you wanting to hop off?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I can stay on.
I mean, I don't really care when we end it. I'm just saying, like, we're at the point where we probably should here soon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, like, Rick and Morty's a very good show. Just a lot of people blow it out of proportion.
It's one of the few shows I really watch, you know?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't,
the only show I'm keeping up with right now that's
yeah, I
currently
don't
on.
make an effort to watch anything else, really.
Um, I watch Deep Fat Fried when it comes out, but that's a internet
I've
show.
kind of fallen out on that whole thing.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, to
Uh,
be honest.
well, okay. So what happened with like they're still doing Altered Perspective, but they're also doing Drunken Peasants?
I think Altered Perspective has just been, it's just been making money, I guess. I don't know.
So it's just like this extra thing that's like the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten messed up because now we got Deep Fat Fried, and then we've got Drunken Peasants, uh, Drunken Peasants Season 2, you could say.
Mm.
And then you've got the Ben Pie stream, which is still going on. And then you also have on Fridays, there's the, oh, no, you have Jim Ass,
Mm.
and it's like the Jim Ass cast.
I didn't
And,
know they still did that.
yeah, so they're doing like Ben Pie and the Jim Ass cast, and then they're also doing Deep Fat Fried. So Ben's running like 4 podcasts.
Which is kind of retarded because they're all like almost the same thing. Like I
Ben
could,
Pie is pretty distinct, and so is the Ass cast. They're different from Drunken Peasants in that.
well, but the fact that he's doing the Alter Perspective and Drunken Peasants, which are like
Those are the same, really.
yeah, they're the same thing because they have the same people on them.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have expected him to continue both when he got back Drunken Peasants, but you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it seemed like that was sort of the thing he was doing for just because he couldn't do Drunken Peasants, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking.
Well,
But I just know that I haven't watched any.
Didn't Ben do something else for a while other than the Alter Perspective?
He was doing the Drunken Peasants season 2, and then he got completely locked out of the Drunken Peasants account.
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
that's when he started the Alter Perspective.
Okay. I still follow Deep Fat Fried. It's not as hard to follow as the Alter Perspective and Drunken Peasants. There aren't like 15 things that you're expected to watch. So.
Yeah, I think the last one I watched was like 20, was like 190 or something. Or see, they were almost to the episode 420, and I think I watched like, I honestly don't remember. All I know is that I never got to the.
Well, they did 420 there, and it was like a 24-hour stream, I think.
And I never watched it. I
Yeah.
fell off like four videos before it.
Yeah.
4 of the podcast before it. And I've just been watching like WebDM and Sargon.
What do you think of Jordan Peterson?
Jordan Peterson, see that sort of, he's got like a square face.
He's the Canadian psychology professor at the University of Toronto. He like roasted an SJW that one time for her
Yeah,
talking about
that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
I like Jordan Peterson.
The Amazing Atheist, or TJ Kirk, I guess now, is writing a book about him and why 12 Rules to Life, his book, is retarded.
Huh.
Like, and I can kind of see where he's coming from as he releases more. I like some of Jordan Peterson's opinions, but I'm kind of like neutral on him right
Some
now.
of his are kind of just, he gets into like sort of like genetic determinism, I believe,
Yeah,
from what I've heard, and just, you know,
he he although he doesn't say it, he's a big Christian guy, and he bases
he
a
is,
lot of
yeah.
his beliefs in that. I mean, I don't know. I think differing things about him. I know that Cult of Dusty isn't exactly the most reputable source anymore, but he did a video on Jordan Peterson that was very good
Oh, okay.
recently.
So, yeah, that's now that you mention it, I had seen because I'm still subscribed to them.
Mm.
Uh, I had seen where he's doing this new antidote to chaos sort of thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of edgy sounding, but now that you've explained it, I can see that it's actually something a bit more.
Well, it's really just breaking down his book.
Yeah, but like when I remember stumbling upon his channel and just going, man, TJ has gotten really edgy because I just saw an antidote to chaos, and I'm just like, man, that is such an edgelord title.
I watch all of TJ's videos. I've almost started disliking them though. I still watch them though. I don't know why. I guess I feel the need to, but
Yeah, sometimes you just gonna get into a rut where you watch because that's what you're supposed to do.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say his videos are exactly bad now, but I mean they've gotten worse. They've gotten
Yeah,
considerably worse since like 2012, but I mean they've gotten worse than the 2018 norm.
yeah. I've been watching a lot of WebDM.
What
It's
is
just
that?
it's a D&D kind of show. They do a podcast as well.
Um,
It's
is
interesting stuff. It's good to listen to in the background.
yeah. Is that like the four guys and they have like that other it was like a TV show that was on for a little while.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Sorry. I'm looking at something else and then I'm spooked.
Are you still looking at 4chan X?
I am, yeah. I'm on a thread about the ocean right now, and oh gosh, so creepy.
Didn't
You got me. I am spooked. There is an imminent danger. I mean, I am sure a skeleton is inside me right now. Like it's already too late. They're inside me.
there is 100% a skeleton in there.
Yeah, it's inside me as I speak.
Um, let's see. What? Oh, okay. So I browse 4chan very minimally, and when I do, it's basically just looking at all of the random porn that's on B and being like, why do people look at this?
I go there for the gore threads.
Really?
Yeah. Hey man, there's some good gore.
Like, as in like in a sexual sense?
No,
Okay.
I go there just to be like, man, that probably hurt.
Okay.
These gore threads are generally just people having like, they just get injured. Maybe
Yeah.
they jump off a building to commit suicide.
Yeah. Um, do you ever go on 50/50 Reddit?
I did, yes, and it's like, yeah, I didn't like that because all of the spiders. There's a lot of spiders.
Landon showed me 50/50 Reddit, and We used to go on there once in a while. I haven't been on there in a long time though. There was one that was like Panda playing with a ball or JFK post assassination. It was like
Yeah.
we got the JFK, and it's interesting.
Really, like, I can only imagine what that must have looked like.
Like, okay, so the, all right, so there's a lot more inside the head than you would think.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Like, I can send you the picture if you want it, but I mean it's pretty gross. I'm not one to get grossed out at things, but I mean that was just shameful. 50/50 Reddit is interesting. They have the safe for work one, which is like retarded. It's like, oh, do you want to see a picture of?
A cat or a picture of a dog.
Oh my god, I saw the cat. How dare them? It's like,
Yeah.
what even? It's like, would you
Yeah,
like
I
to
mostly
see?
browse X. I like being spooked.
See, I don't really. Because I'll be spooked for like days on end if I am. I don't know if Landon told you how paranoid I was when that whole clown thing was happening.
Yeah, yeah, you were. He did tell me you were pretty paranoid.
Yeah. I was so paranoid. I didn't sleep the first night I heard about that. That was like the first time I had ever not slept.
Really,
Yeah.
I've been pretty well immersed in spooky stuff at this point, so I'm pretty healthy and rational about it.
Yeah, I just can't sleep with certain spooky facts in my head, so I try not to indulge myself in those types of things.
Yeah, I browse X and then I go to B for gore, and sometimes the Wild Wows are good. Mostly B is just like a weird porn board now.
Like, B used to be the board for everything,
Yeah, I know.
but it's like,
Now
you,
people seem to think that it just means porn.
yeah, they should, they really need like a site or like a
You know,
Discord bot or
the,
something for that.
the defense is that, oh, B, it's random board, which means anything goes in it. No, B is for, content that doesn't already have a board. So, you need to take your porn, you need to put it in the adult videos section or the adult pictures.
Some of those threads on B are like, um, it's like candid shots, bonus points of its family. And it's like, why are there 200 replies on this? People have actively done this in order to, like, and just to post it on 4chan.
Ah, a new trap, sissy, CD, etc. thread. Good. A tits thread. Uh, a
Yeah.
darkest secret thread. The one thing that I guess B is like a bastion for weird furry stuff too.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's actually something that should go on B because it can't go anywhere else. But I guess it really even shouldn't be going on B because it's like a rule.
Well, yeah, like, wasn't there like a furry board for like an April Fool's joke and everybody who went on it got banned?
Yeah. But YouTubers you would come in, pick related. You know, this is an actually good thread. We all act like savages till someone gets trips. That's a good picture. I might take that.
Um,
Planet Sheen is the embodiment of perfection in televised entertainment. Changed my mind. Pick not related as pick of Planet Sheen. Oh man, I'll never forget it. I was on I was browsing which is comics,
mm.
and there was a thread about a bunch of people arguing about whether or not the Crimson Chin was better than Crash Nebula, and they were arguing like as if there was like a DC versus Marvel. They were like, well, the 1980s Crimson Chin was obviously the best Chin, even though he was a little bit edgy. And it's like chin fags will never be able to live up to Crash Nebula. And it's like, what's the chin gonna do to Crash Nebula? Crash Nebula has a gun.
Chin fags.
Yeah, that's what they call them, chin fags. Can't remember what they called. I guess it was just Crash fags.
Oh.
Vanilla, please.
Are
I
you
don't want.
are
I
you
don't
like
want this.
are you like actually into BDSM, or is that just something that you only see because of Shad Base?
You know, I'd say that it's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's nice. You know, I honestly, heck yeah, I'm into that.
There was a guy on the bus one day that you've probably heard us talk about a lot, but I don't want to say his name. It was he said, I figured out yesterday this look that you can give any sub that just makes them like instantly like whatever.
Ah,
And it was just on the bus, and it's like,
yeah, very weird. You don't really talk about your sexual kinks.
well, and for the most part, people don't know what he was talking about. But the people who did were like, dude, stop, no.
Yeah, it's just like, why?
I don't know. You don't do that on the bus.
No, I would never talk to anyone on the bus. Just like, I don't even want to be here. I just want to get home.
I talked to Mr. Short, who is my math teacher and bus driver, on the bus. That's about it,
See?
though.
I don't.
I've spoken to Camunition a few times on the bus.
Yeah, Camunation.
Dude, we gotta get him on here at some point.
He's always. Is he selling merchandise?
Yeah, he is.
Really? Can I get some of that? Cause I want some merchandise.
I mean, I think if you asked him, you could get it. Yeah, it's basically like these gray shirts that just say Camunition in the corner, and they have two like rifle bullets facing in either direction.
I want that.
Like it's nothing super offensive, I don't think. I mean, I've seen it very minimally because I've only seen him wear it in his videos, or like one video.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. His channel, it's just great. I like the fact that it exists.
If you guys don't know about Camunition, I might link him in the description. He's a guy who goes to our school and he makes YouTube videos, and you know, he's a redneck, and
He's redneck as they come, but he's pretty great.
like his videos are funny.
His background is straight up a Nazi. It's the SS symbol.
Is it?
It straight up is, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I think he might be doing it ironically as a joke. At least I hope.
There for a while, his profile picture said, "Please do not advocate white genocide on my profile. Thanks."
Sometimes I wonder if he's just like the world's greatest troll, or if he really believes some of this stuff.
I mean, like, the way that he speaks in his his newer videos are like political rants. A lot of them are, and he speaks about like political opinions and stuff in such a way that it's like, oh, liberals are the worst people and they're the reason that we're having all these school shootings, but believe whatever you want to believe and we'll all work together as one with the liberal
I
pedos.
genuinely believe he believes some of that. But like, I don't know, some things, I just wonder if he's being like, he's like a deep undercover troll.
He
Like,
might be.
Is he really a Nazi? I wonder.
What if he's like almost one of our people and he browses 4chan?
Yeah. And so he's just trolling them libtards, epic gamer style.
We have to have him on here at some point.
Yeah. I wonder what he does all day.
Probably absolutely nothing. But I mean, I'm not gonna say any more just in case there is actually some chance that he would come on.
Yeah. I wanna ask him, is he really a Nazi? Or is that like a thing he does just to mess with the liberals?
I think he does that primarily to mess with people. Yeah, I would encourage everyone to go watch his channel. It's entertaining.
I like it.
Even if you're not, even if
Did
you're.
he do a condom challenge where he blew?
No, people snort condoms now, and that's the new challenge. And his was a clickbait so that he could rant about the condom challenge.
Oh, how clever!
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, that's really clever, actually.
Yeah. But that video was really like. It seemed more forced than a lot of his other videos. A lot of his other ones seemed to come from the heart, but that one was like, yeah, I was sick, but I felt like I needed to make this video, so I'm making it, and whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, whatever.
I remember he told me about how he was doing merchandise forever ago.
He doesn't have like a Teespring or anything like that. He just, I think he just prints those shirts on Custom Ink or something and then like gives them to people who want them. He might even do like iron-on transfers or something. I'm not really even sure.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, he's an interesting fellow.
I want to get a picture of Gaston. I want to get like one of those on a shirt. That'd be nice.
I'd say you could probably find that somewhere.
Yeah, but I don't want to give money to Disney. They're racist.
Colton,
Get some money.
Could you explain your Gaston thing?
I love Gaston. On all levels except physical, I'm Gaston. He's great. I mean, my username is Heroic Gaston because I love it. I believe that Gaston is truly the hero of Beauty and the Beast because, from his perspective, everything he does is right. He doesn't know. Sure, we as the audience know that the Beast isn't bad, but really. Could he really been that good of a person if nobody even remembers him when he's gone?
Are you the only person that believes this?
No, there are other people. I collaborate with them. And we're trying to push the narrative that really the Beast is the bad guy. And the Beast and Gaston are exactly the same. They're both terrible people. Except one of them isn't gorgeous, so...
You ought to change your Instagram handle to Heroic Gaston so we can have that on our image rather than at Colton Strouth, which you never use.
I don't use that. I have an Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't remember making it. Yeah, I gotta change that because Heroic Gaston's better.
Yeah. You are at Colton Strouth right now. Both Dakota and I follow you, but we both forgot that we did. I don't use Instagram too much, but I try to use it more. I've tried to use Facebook less and move over to Instagram.
I'm not into social media too much.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It was very annoying when we would try to contact you on Messenger and whatever. Like, we had no idea how people contacted you.
Yeah, I'm an elusive one. That's for sure.
Like, people wouldn't be having these problems like 50 years ago. It's like, oh, he's not on them computers.
Yeah, but no, yeah, Gaston's the true hero. It's just that Belle doesn't take the time to actually try and make him a better person. She just writes him off as a horrible person. And then he's condemned to die for no reason. Even though the Beast is just as horrible, but it's just that Belle decides that she's not just going to write him off. It by Disney. I want the Gaston movie. You know, that we had Maleficent, where it was a redemption story for her. I want the Gaston story.
Well, Gaston isn't really like the only villain in that movie, though.
No, really, the villain is everyone in the town.
Right? Yeah, it's
But
like,
Gaston pays for it.
it's the mob, but Gaston symbolizes the mentality of the mob.
Yeah, and it just kind of sucks that he gets shafted. And you know, people are so used to the narrative that Disney pushes that they really just they're blind to the truth that Gaston is truly the hero. Also, he's like a war veteran, so you know you can't hate them.
Well, no. So do you want to end it here? We're right at well, just a little over 2 hours now.
Yeah, I've got a headache now.
Okay. All right. Well.
Yeah, I think I'm good to go.
Yeah. All right. So that's been the first episode of the Rock Herpes podcast. I hope it was good. Smash that unsubscribe button. You know.
Yeah, don't subscribe.
Yeah. If you subscribe, I will find you, and we will have it out.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you how dedicated I am to Gaston. I'll destroy you with my biceps.
Yeah. Yeah. See, Colton is a true Gastonian.
Yes, I've trained myself to become more like him.
All right, I'm ending it now.